What's up, buddy? Donnie D Model here, and welcome to Codecast Live. Today, we're going to be talking about functions, JavaScript functions. Just going to start really basic-like and kind of talk about what a function is. Before we actually jump into the code, I want to have a little bit of a scenario for you. The first thing I want you to kind of think about is this story we're going to build. So think about having a party that you have to prepare for, and there's going to be some people that come over, and quite a bit of people, and you decide that just to make it easy, you're going to go ahead and get a whole bunch of pizza. So you order this pizza, but there's a mistake, and the order actually comes in a day early. So what ends up happening is we need to actually hold all the pizza here. You're a nice guy, so you don't have to send the delivery guy back. You're just going to hold all the pizza here. And what you're going to do is you're going to microwave all of this pizza. So two questions. First off, if you have a lot of pizza, and I didn't say how much, but if you have a lot of pizza, how many microwaves do you need to microwave all of your pizza? Well, you could think about it for a second if you like, stop the video if you want, but the answer really is pretty simple. It's just one. You can microwave the pizza as needed. The pizza can, the microwave can actually microwave the pizza individually with no problem. You don't need several microwaves in order to microwave the pizza. The other thing, a question I would ask is, could you use your dishwasher to microwave the pizza? Again, not a trick question, but if you want to think about it, you could totally think about it. But I think the answer is also fairly obvious that no, you should not use your dishwasher to microwave the pizza unless it's some kind of fancy sous vide. You wouldn't use you wouldn't use the dishwasher in order to microwave your pizza. So this is two kind of concepts that I want to have you think about. The first concept being that you don't need to have multiple things doing the same kind of operation, so having multiple microwaves microwaving pizza all at the same time. We could just need the one microwave, and you wouldn't use another mechanism or function to do something that another one's more capable of doing. So they'll have a separate maybe function that does its own kind of stuff. So that's what I want you to think about. So now that we have this kind of scenario in our head and what we're talking about in terms of what a function kind of is, and it's just an order of operations, let's think of it in the terms of a microwave. And actually, we're going to go into the code, but we're going to do like some pseudocode first. So let's go into that right now. All right, so we're going to go into the JavaScript section here, but we're not going to be writing real JavaScript yet. I'm just going to go ahead and write out some pseudocode. All right, so the pseudocode just basically says I'm going to write out some words in here or some text, and we're going to kind of understand what a function actually is. So the microwave, okay, in our particular example, is going to have two inputs. One of the inputs that we're going to have, and we'll put it in parentheses here, is pizza. Okay, that's going to be an input that you put into the microwave. Another input that you put into this microwave is going to be the time. Okay, so the amount of time that it takes to cook this pizza. So we'll just put in time. Now, granted, we can go ahead and say, okay, there's power or electricity that goes into this thing. We could potentially enter that too. But just for the sake of keeping things simple, we're going to input some pizza and we're going to put in some time. All right. So after this stuff goes into the microwave, obviously we basically start the microwave up, and it's going to start heating this thing. So let's assume that maybe we're actually, let's call it in the microwave like this. We'll have like some brackets in here, very like CSS like, and inside of the microwave is where all the operations get taking place, right? We're basically nuking the pizza over the amount of time, right? So maybe we were like maybe it's like nuke pizza for time, right? Nuke pizza for time. And then at the end of that whole thing, what will happen is we should get back outside of the microwave some sort of like edible thing, right? So some edible food. Is that right? All right. Now, obviously, this isn't inside the microwave. This is outside. So maybe we just, return some edible food. All right, and this is obviously setting up to be a keyword here in JavaScript. Return is a very special word in JavaScript. But again, we're doing the pseudocode, but we want that microwave to give us back edible food, right? And we'll be able to take that edible food out of the microwave in order for us to use for other things, like, for instance, eating. Okay? So what we've just basically outlined here is essentially the way that a function is expecting to be written. For the most part, we have a couple of things we need to add, but essentially what we have is we have the definition of the microwave, or the definition of our function, which is the whole thing right here. Okay, and you're able to put stuff into that function by way of these like variables or arguments or parameters, depends on what direction we're talking about. But basically we have pizza that's going in and we have time that's going in. All right. Now those two things are going to go into our function, and then when they're in the function has an order of operations that it needs to run to determine what to do with those two things. So in this particular case, we have this thing called nuke. So we're going to nuke the pizza for amount of time, and then once that operation is completed, it goes to the next line here on line 3 for our pseudocode, and it returns basically what the final product is. Okay, so we could actually even assume like maybe this final project is like sets to a variable, so we could like say like var edible food. We're going to see that this is getting a bit closer and closer to real JavaScript after a while. So now we have edible food. Oh, let me just hitting the wrong buttons here. We're going to paste this right here, or not paste that right there. Well, apparently I don't know how to copy and paste, folks. Okay, just paste, fine. Okay, there it is. Okay, great. So now, so we're basically doing this nuke pizza for some time, saving it to a variable, and then the second operation will be to return, or essentially get that edible food out of the function. Okay, now speaking of functions, we need to identify that this thing actually is a function, and we do that by actually using the keyword function, just like this. Okay, now you can see some things have actually changed in color. That means that JavaScript's kind of kicking in and trying to figure out what's going on here. So we do have a function here. With this function, we have the function called microwave. And microwave just basically means is we've decided to call this thing. We could decide to call this thing anyway. We can call this thing nuke machine or something like that. And then this syntax is also exactly correct for creating a function. We have the two parameters that are going inside of here, pizza and time. And then inside of the curly braces is all of our operations, right? So one of those operations is assigning this variable. But for this particular case, we would have to make some kind of real JavaScripty thing. So if there was something called like pizza.nuke and then had time in it or something like that. Again, that doesn't exist at all. But this is the way that a function would be written. So we're going to use this up here. I'll comment this stuff out. If I remember how to do the comment thing here, it should be... Nope, that's not how you do it, folks. Let's try that. Nope, not that either. There it is. Okay, so that was control and the slash key with the question mark on it to comment stuff out. I forget that often. Okay. So to kind of move forward with this, what we want to do is we want to kind of just make a really quick JavaScript function that does adding for us. So I'm going to say function add. We'll put a num1 and a num2 in here, just like that. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have, I'll put var in here so we don't get confused, results. And we're going to say num1 plus num2, just like that. And then we're going to return result. And again, return just means give me that thing after it's all done outside of the function, and basically end the function. Okay, so now we're going to actually use our function, and we're going to say var added is going to be add 2 plus 3. And in order to see what we added, we're going to do a console log added, just like this. Okay, and if you want to see the console, you have a button here and over here in CodePen. You can actually see the console. You can see we have 5 over here, which is the 2 plus 3. We can clear that out. We can put in some more different numbers in here. We could try like a 7. Let's see what happens. 9, very nice. Okay, we put in like maybe a 5. 12, very nice. Okay, so what's happening here is we're running this function, right? We've defined the function up here. We have parameters that we're adding, so we're putting the 5 and the 7 inside. So 5 is representing the num1, and 7 is representing the num2. And when those two things goes into this function, we add them together, we save them to a variable, and then we finally return that variable's result. And then when that return happens, it basically is what's evaluated after this function is run. So we are going to put that into its own variable after this is completely run, and saving that right there. And then in the next line, we go ahead and we console log it, or basically print it to our page so we can see what's going over here. Okay, it's normally pretty important for you to define your functions first before you try to start using them. JavaScript tries to be a little bit smart in terms of figuring out what you want to do with that, but generally speaking, this is the way that you will see functions be written. There's another way to write a function. I will show you what that looks like, but I don't recommend it personally because it's a little bit finicky. And it looks like this. And we'll say num1 and num2. And then we'll say var results num1 times num2. And then we return results. Okay? Multiplied. Be great. And then we get multiple. And we're going to do, I guess we'll do 2 and 4. And we'll console log this. Alright, so we got the 12 from above, right, because this is running also. So this is running first. And then the next thing that gets run is this. So we're getting the 12 from here and the 8 from here, right? So if I change this, I'll get 12 and 12 probably, right? Yeah, that's not confusing, folks, right? So let's do 15 here. All right, so it's 3 and 5. So we got 12 and 15. And just to show you that this is also, you know, running, of course, we'll put this, make this 8 and 15. So 8 and 15, very nice. Okay, so this way that's being written here is basically I think this is the function declaration, right? Because we're declaring this to a variable. This is a function expression. So anyway, basically what's happening here is, again, it's being assigned to a variable, so we're creating the function assigning it to a variable, but we're not calling it, okay? When we call the function, it's basically when we use these parentheses, right? So the parentheses here is basically making sure that the function is being called. Now, it doesn't need to be called with these arguments here. I can actually call functions that don't have any parameters in here. If I just want to go ahead and have some kind of function that's like print, just like this, and I could say console log printed, and I don't have to return anything either if I don't want to, just like that. Then I can run this function down here. But actually, well, before I even run the function, I'll show you what it looks like if I just say print. See, it prints the function here. Now, this might be very specific to CodePen in terms of printing the actual function, but what I really want is I want the actual function to run. So that's a little bit different. If I want it to run, I would go like this. You see that? It actually printed this thing here. Okay. Now, the reason it says undefined here is because I actually didn't return anything, and it's trying to show it here. But what's important here, again, is that if you don't call the function, it won't run. See, it's important for you to use the double parentheses here to actually run the function. Now, we could run that function just like we did up here with arguments, like we put in a 5 and a 3, but that's only if the function itself is expecting those arguments. You see that? If I put in, you know, different things that it's not expecting in here, let's do it for the multiplication thing. You'll see it be exceptionally weird. I'm going to put in the word true in here, and you'll see it probably should fail, or probably doesn't know what to do. Let's see if it doesn't know what to do. It's probably very confused right now. Let's see. I'm going to force run. Let's see what happens. Because I think true is trying to coerce itself into a 1. So let's try. What happens if I do array? Yeah, it's coercing itself into. Well, that's going to be confusing for you folks. Let's see if I could just do a string in here. Is that going to screw everything up? There it is. Okay. So yeah, so that screwed everything up because it's not a number. You can't multiply the string and the number 5 together, so it's a little screwed up there. But it's not expecting that stuff. If you're expecting to do something like this, it still won't do anything for you because it doesn't expect that argument in there. I haven't declared it over here. Okay? So there's a couple of different things in here, but the most important part is basically understanding the syntax and that we are able to put in a couple of variables, do some operations to them, and then return a result. All right? So that's the general gist of it here. Again, if that was quite a bit for you, it's okay. There's a lot of that goes on to with functions. And if you have questions, of course, leave them in the comments or get in touch with me. We'll be doing a lot more at functions, so if you have some opportunity to look into them by yourself, that would be great. But we'll do, again, some really cool stuff with them, I guess, down the road. Anyway, that was it for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming.